So we actually opened 13 years ago, and it was essentially to answer the call that there wasn't really anything alternative to the traditional education systems here on the island for preschool, kindergarten, and primary. So actually, Christine Riley started the company, and she was actually the one who got me the job and was training me over the last 8 years of me working there at the school. She's recently gone back to the States, but all of our staff have been on there for a long, long time. And what we want to do is give these kids an opportunity to play and explore and really just be kids before we start hammering them with academic heavy things, which they'll get later on when they enter into primary. So our main focus is to get them out in the yard, getting them connected to themselves, having them be aware of their emotions, their feelings, how do they connect to others, interpersonal relationships, and how do they connect to the bigger picture around them? So how do they connect to their environment? Where are we in the world? We're in Phuket.As, which is part of Thailand, which is part of Asia, et cetera, et cetera. So that's our goals for these kids. Of course, letting them get dirty, letting them play, letting them explore, ask authentic questions. For our lower kids, we take ages 2 to about 4 years old. And then in the upper school, we go about 4.5 to 7. And that has fluctuated over the years. We've had students as old as 10. But it just really depends on who's coming into the island, what families are here. And right now it seems like we're getting a lot of younger students. So that's where we're at. We have between 2 and 7-year-olds at our school.
And the school, is it primarily Thai? Is it Farang? Is it mixed?
It is really, honestly, it's very mixed. We have a lot of different nationalities and a lot of different cultures coming in, but everything is taught in English. Of course, there's Thai lessons for the students that will be going on to Thai educational systems, but everything we do is in English. And, we've had kids speaking 0 English when they start with us, and after a month, they're picking it up. So it's pretty incredible.
So they're starting from like let's say a preschool age, you're saying ages 2, and they're staying up till 7 and as late as 10.
Yes.
And from that, during that educational development, how is that different than, let's say, the standard government school, not just in Thailand, but also you could compare that because, we're both Canadian, shout out. How could you compare that to the standard educational of ages 2 to 7?
I think the thing that makes us stand out the most is really small, intimate classroom sizes. So we have 3 teachers to about 9 students in the lower school, and 2 teachers to 6 to 7 students in the upper school. So what we aim to do is to teach these kids at their level. Where are they at? Not, okay, you're 6 years old, you should be at this level. Well, that might not be where they are developmentally right now. So we're trying to look at these kids, and the best way we can do that is having small classroom sizes. If there's 3 kids versus 30 kids, as a teacher, it becomes a lot easier to see what these kids need and where they're flourishing, where they need a little bit of growth. So I think that's probably the biggest difference. And the other thing is just letting them play, letting them explore, giving them a ton of different materials, giving them a ton of time to create things, to do experiments, to really just have a fully immersive experience of what we're trying to teach them as part of our
curriculum. Is it a different, like, let's say could you run us through a typical day of let's say a 4 or 5-year-old, and what classes do they attend? Are there scheduled classes, like today is gym, today is math, or is it very open and there is, what is the program behind that?
Okay, so as much as we like to explore and play, there is definitely a reason we give them structure and routine. Kids thrive on that. So we do have a weekly schedule. They do yoga once a week. We do math and phonics about 4 times a week. We also give free play 2 times a week. So after we do our heavy lessons like math, phonics, they go outside and play. Then we bring them back in. We do language arts, or for the younger kids, it's obviously more creative play, imagination play. And then we all have lunch together, and then there's one more class at the end of the day. So there is a routine that we go through. We try to get them to target their physical body, so targeting gross motor skills, targeting fine motor skills. Obviously, language is coming through phonics class, but also through story. We read 2 to 3 stories to them every day. And we're trying to get them to interact with us. What does the cow say? You know, for the younger ones, we're trying to get them to have a full body experience with these stories. With the older ones, we're asking them more questions. What was your favorite part? What do you think the character meant? The
comprehension side too.
Yes, absolutely. And that is supplemented with reading and writing skills, of course, for the older kids that are at that stage. But for the younger ones, we're really just getting them, you know, vocabulary. We're trying to get them to be part of the group, which is another thing that we really value at our school is having the kids be accepted by the group, by their peers. And once they do that, that's the best learning tool that we can use. Social behavior.
and how, like, let's say for like a math class, is there a teaching methodology that is different than, like, say, a government or standard school? Like, and I'll kind of elaborate on that question. I mean, typically, like, again, well, I lived in China for 5-6 years, and they were drilling. It was repetition. It was memorization. How do you guys differentiate your teaching methods for, let's say, math in particular?
Math in particular. So we have a curriculum that's broken down by age range. That being said, kids are going to be in different places in our curriculum. We're not going to expect every 6-year-old to be exactly where the 6-year-olds are at that age, right? They're coming in with different skills and different situations to our school. So we aim for these skills to be addressed during the year, during our 10 months that we're open. But there isn't any standardized tests. We're essentially trying to give them information and testing them with games and opportunities to practice, show us their knowledge. But we're really just giving them exposure to these skills that they'll need once they leave, because, you know, Shining Stars isn't the end of the road. They're going to go on to primary schools. So we're giving them the building blocks. More importantly, we're giving them the confidence to, hey, if you don't get this, you can ask me. You can ask for help. And that goes back into building these kids up within themselves. So if you're feeling unsure about something, what are some things that you can do to get your answers, to get your needs met?
So it's much more hands-on. There's more attention to each kid themselves.
Yes.
I mean, let's say a standard government school, you got 30, 40 kids in a class and one teacher. I mean, how can they
bless them for anyone who can do that?
I mean, it's a bit overwhelming, I could imagine, as a teacher. But this being a stepping stone, how would you communicate that it's bridging the gap between, let's say, I'm not even sure the terminology, like their pre-education and then going, and where are they going on to from there? What's the next step?
So we've actually, as I said, we've been open for 13 years now. Because we have this history, we've seen our students go on to every school on this island, whether that be more alternative learning like life school, or whether they go into the Thai system, they go into the government schools, or whether they go to BIS or QSI or one of the bigger schools, the more international schools. All of those kids have been successful. Of course, there's going to be that learning curve, that transition period when they change from our school to another school, and that's completely normal. But we have great relationships with our parents that we've had over the years, and we've heard nothing but positive feedback that their kids have been doing.
Do you have like a success story that really stands out that you'd like to share?
So many of them. I mean, I'm lucky enough to see the kids that I've taught, and they do come back. And I think that's one of my proudest moments is the kids that leave our school, if they have a break during their school period, they actually ask their parents to come back and hang out with us. We always have this rule, you know, once a star, always a star. So we have this open door policy for kids who ever want to come back and hang out with us. And they want to do that. They love to do that. And I can see their growth. I can see where they're at now. And I can see those connecting dots of, okay, they learned this here. We were the foundation. And to watch them grow into these smart, intelligent, confident little human beings is for me, that's all the reassurance I need that we're doing something really magical and really interesting here.
Okay, and for Shining Star.
Crushed
it. All right. For Shining Star, where are most of the children commuting from? Are they mostly living in Kamala? Or are they coming from around the whole island?
Ooh, I would say about 60 to 70% are in and around Kamala. We have some families that come up from Laguna. We had a few coming in from Patong. In and around that area, we've never really had students coming from way down in Rawai or up north. But a lot of the families, interestingly enough, will come do a tour of the school, and if they like us, they will find a accommodation around the school.
Nearby,
We have young kids too, right? So it makes sense for parents with young kids. They don't want to travel too far in the morning.
And you're saying how many teachers are total at the school, and how many children are total at the school?
So we actually had to say goodbye to one of our amazing teachers we've had for about 10 years. So she's going back home to Cambodia. So right now in the lower school, we have 3 teachers. In the upper school, we have 3 teachers. And with that, we have a cleaner, we have a cook who cooks, vegetarian meals for the kids every day. So we have a lot of staff for that very reason, so that we can give the kids what they need and be that support for them. We have 2 native English speaking teachers, myself and Darren.
Yeah.
And all my other teachers have been there for a really, really long time. We also have a university student graduate who's coming here for work experience. So she's been really lovely to work with too. A ton of staff for maybe, at the moment, we're at 17 kids.
17 kids.
Yes.
Okay, and I'll touch upon, you're talking about meditation. Now, this is, it's not typical, obviously, in the government schools, whether in US, Canada, or the rest of the world.
Right.
Have you guys been incorporating meditation into the curriculum since the beginning, and why is that? And also from that, what are the outcomes? What are the benefits? What have you seen from that type of program in itself?
So the way we started implementing meditation into our program is we actually had a woman from Australia, Nikki, come and certify the teachers in yoga for kids, teacher training. So we did that about 6 years ago. And so we really started it initially to get the kids more body aware, more body conscious with the yoga. But this amazing thing was happening at the end of yoga was, of course, the relaxation or meditation as we know it. And these really magical things were happening where we were getting 2 and 3-year-olds able to sit still for 5 minutes.
Yep.
And any parents out there will know that is no small feat. So it obviously takes time, and it takes, weekly practice, and it takes patience and energy from our staff. But what I've found with the younger ones, of course, it's amazing to see that they're able to calm themselves and self-soothe, especially outside of the classroom. If we're in the playground, they fall and hurt themselves. We go back to, okay, let's take some breaths together. Let's go back to that breathing and calm down and use those techniques that we've been using in meditation. With the older kids, what I can see in the classroom is they're a lot more calm. They're a lot more able to sit through things where normally at the beginning of the year, before we get into the yoga practice, they get a little bit more agitated. They get a little bit more, they get some ants in their pants. But near the end of the year, once these kids have been conditioned and been exposed to that sort of, that break, that relaxation at the end of yoga class, I see it in different aspects, inside the classroom and outside the classroom with them.
And is that strategically planned out? Like, are you doing this meditation once a day? Is it planned out? Okay, let's say math, that could be quite difficult for children at a young age to concentrate on. So let's do meditation before math. Is that planned out?
What we do is in our weekly routine, we do have yoga once a week for them.
Okay.
But that meditation or those breathing techniques, they can be pulled out in a number of different times throughout the day. Like I said, if they fall down, they get hurt. We go right into that. Okay, let's go. Let's focus on our breath. It can really be used situationally. So if they're just full of energy and they're just a little wild that day, we will get them all to sit down in the middle of a letters class, a phonics class, and okay, we all need to just take a minute. We'll sit in silence and we'll just breathe. So there is the formal meditation at the end of our yoga that happens once a week, but the idea of just being able to come back to ourselves, that can be used many, many times throughout our week, depending on where we're at.
And these kids that are, let's say, joining the school, I'm sure you get kids that join the school from the beginning, let's say age 2, 3, and they stay till 7, 10, whatever. What about a child that's joining at the age of 5 and introducing them into yoga? I mean, how do they respond to that? Are they reluctant? Are they easily able to dive directly into it? Do they adapt?
You know what? The way we package yoga for these kids is respecting your body, having fun with your friends, and having a moment to express ourselves physically. So it isn't the traditional yoga that, adults would know. We do pair it a lot with animal sounds, animal movement, things that are in and around their world, stretch up tall like a tree, waterfall. So kids are really quick to get on board with that, even if they're coming in from whatever schooling. Maybe they're 5 and maybe they're coming in from Conjunct or another school system where they haven't been exposed to that. They're really quick to get on board. And as I said, the group is really important. Any kid that's coming in that's unsure or never been exposed to this before, they're going to look around and see every one of their peers into it and really grooving on it. So they're selling it for us. I don't really need to do much. They're really selling it to these kids that are coming in.
Okay. Well, is there any content like maybe we can pull up the Shining Star website, crushed it again. Is there anything we could show from the website that we're allowed to show that might, I'm assuming maybe you don't have videos of that, or even if we pull up the website, is there something that we could highlight from there that we could talk about a bit? Or
we're a little bit more active on our Facebook page in terms of videos and content that we put out.
So should we pull something up? Is that okay?
Shining Stars Kamala,
Shining Stars Kamala. Okay, so we'll give.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
I think you'll pull it up on the screen, or
yes, I'm pulling.
Okay,
up.
so he's quick. Okay, see what we got there. Let's see if it works. We had some technical difficulties last time. So there's a lot of shining stars. Probably got to type in Kamala.
Yeah, just after,
Shining Stars Kamala. Okay.
There we go.
Let's check out
There we go. That's
us.
There we
go. And we'll scroll through it, and if anything that sticks out that you would want to discuss, we can pop that video up and talk about it a little bit. Maybe just scroll down slowly.
So that was our upper school kids. They were baking a cake for one of the teachers that was leaving Phuket.
Okay.
So we try to get them baking, cooking, making food once a week, at least. It's also nice. All of these kids right now are coming off almost 2 months of an unexpected break. Our April break was really meant to be 2 weeks, and as you know, there's been restrictions with the school openings. So all of these kids are coming in basically like from summer break.
Yeah.
So we're trying to highlight the best parts of school. So getting them out in the yard.
And this yard here, this is the school itself?
This is, yes. So we've actually moved locations last year. We were about 500 meters down the road on Soy Fantasy in Kamala.
Yep.
Unfortunately, they did construction next door to us. So we had to move to another location. And although the yard is a little bit smaller, the indoor classroom space is immaculate. I'm really, really pleased with the teaching space that we have inside the school now. There's also a lot less mosquitoes. There's more coverage for the kids when it's raining. It's just a much better space.
Is there anything on yoga? That'd be cool to see. Interesting if.
Oh, that was the outside.
Depends if it pops up. There's some art. Who did all the artwork?
That's me. I've done a couple of murals around the island here in Phuket, and obviously we had to
That's cool.
put something on for our school, our beloved school there. So that was all done by we were cleaning and painting and organizing for the last 3 days before we opened. So it was a labor of love there, but it was hard. It was hard having 2 months off when all of our kids were expecting to see us in 2 weeks. And we went through the same thing last year during lockdown.
So the school was closed completely.
The school was closed, and I know a number of other institutions on the island were trying to do online learning. But what we found last year was just with 2-year-olds, even with 7-year-olds, it becomes really challenging to have them sit in front of a computer screen. And the magic of what we do, as you can see, it's when the kids are together. It's when they're with their teachers. This was a Songkran celebration.
Oh, okay.
So we did a little water play Songkran that we do every year. But the most exciting thing happens in the school. So having online learning it wasn't feasible for us. Wasn't feasible for our families, and we got a lot of feedback.
Yeah, how do you put a 3-year-old or whatever, a 5-year-old in front of a computer and ask them to sit there?
Even 10-year-olds.
Yeah, it's impossible.
Wow, you guys, that's incredible. I mean, kudos to the parents and the teachers that can do that. But
there's Darren. Is that Darren?
oh yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, oh yeah. We do the tie-dye shirts every year, so the kids. We don't have school uniforms.
Okay.
We like to keep it informal, but we do tie-dye T-shirts. And going back to what kind of nationalities, we do have a lot of half Thai kids, half Thai, mixed, but a lot of Thai kids, and a lot of families from lots of different places, Russia, Dubai.
That's good at this age. They're kind of connecting with different cultures and starting to understand,
That's the yoga class, I believe.
That is the yoga class, yes.
Ah, okay.
So as you can see, it's a lot of props, it's a lot of games, but while still working on flexibility, body coordination, balance, all of those important things that really ground them in their body. And I think it's something that really needs to be put into the curriculum in all schooling, not just in Thailand, but beyond. I think you can see the benefits for their focus, for their, their body awareness.